Hello, I'm Dr. Harold Wong, and today we're going to cover the contents of an article that was published April 18, 2012 in the Arizona Republic. And the topic is basically, how does a multi-generation IRA compare to a living trust, specifically the typical revocable living trust? Well, guess what? For most people, the reason they pay an attorney to form a revocable living trust is so they can avoid probate. Now, part of the revocable living trust package is usually your will, your living will, which gives your heirs or your spouse the right to pull the plug in case you're incurable, so that the hospital doesn't keep you alive to your last dollar. And it may include financial or durable powers of attorneys, so someone can make financial decisions in case you're temporarily incapacitated. But the main reason people form a living trust is to avoid probate. Guess what? The multi-generation IRA also avoids probate. So right there, the two are similar. Now, a living trust can cost you $2,000 or $3,000 for the whole package. A multi-generation IRA, when I set it up, or other people are very knowledgeable, I don't know how much they charge, but when I set up for my clients, we do it without any attorney's fees at all. And more importantly, if you want to make any changes, you can do it yourself. Unlike a living trust, where to make changes there, you got to go back to the estate planning attorney and pay him his hourly fee, which is typically $200 to $350 an hour, depending on what part of the country you live in. Now, the second aspect is income tax. People who have a living trust have the mistaken idea that they get income tax benefits. That's not true at all. Any income flowing from assets in the living trust just flows through to your personal tax return. In contrast, the multi-generation IRA gives you income tax benefits. Income tax deferral, if it's a straight multi-generation IRA, or if you add the Roth IRA component, all the earnings you earn is tax-free for the rest of your life, your spouse's life, your kid's life, and even for your grandchildren's life, without limit. So if you had $400,000 in a multi-generation IRA with the Roth component and a gross of $4 million, all of that gain, that $3.6 million, is tax-free. A third component is asset protection. People are shocked after coming into my office when they realize the Revocable Living Trust gives you absolutely no asset protection at all. That's why it's called Revocable Living Trust. If you want pure asset protection, it's got to be an irrevocable trust, such as the Rockefeller Trust, where I educated thousands of attorneys 20 years ago in Arizona on the Rockefeller Trust. My seminar was unique. It was called Secrets of the Rockefeller Trust, how the Rockefellers, Kennedys, Governor Fife Symington, the governor about 15, 20 years ago in Arizona, had immunized their assets to avoid liability from lawsuits. You see, if your assets are in a living trust and say there's $1 million, and then the drunk driver hits you and your wife and you're gone, so $500,000 goes to each of your two kids. What if they have a bad marriage? Guess what? Usually they commingle the assets, they don't keep it as sole and separate property, and so if they have a bad marriage, they lose half of that $500,000 for each of them. Or they're unfairly hit with a bad lawsuit. Remember that woman that successfully sued McDonald's and won $1 million for spilling that hot coffee in her own lap? Well, guess what? The living trust gives you no asset protection at all. So a lifetime of savings that took you 40 years to build up could be gone just with a bad lawsuit or a bad marriage. You see, you may know the spouse of your kids now, but you don't know their next two spouses. And it's sad to say, the median life of a marriage today is only 5 years. Half of marriages don't even make it to the 5-year mark. Now, in contrast, the multi-generation IRA has wonderful asset protection. If they have a bad marriage, the spouse can't get to the money. If they're unfairly targeted by a lawsuit, at least $1 million for each of your heirs, whether it be kids or grandkids, they each of them can have at least $1 million in a multi-generation IRA. They could declare bankruptcy, and guess what? The creditors couldn't get to any of that money. So as you can see, when we look at the three dimensions, avoiding probate, both the living trust and the multi-generation IRA do that. But the living trust does not give you income tax benefits or asset protection, whereas the multi-generation IRA gives you great income tax benefits and asset protection. So these are some of the reasons you may want to look hard and consider, do I need a multi-generation IRA, and will that do much better for my family and my heirs than just having a revocable living trust? For more information, go to my blog site, drwonginvestorguide.com.